Are you serious? Are you serious? Thank you for being a member of our Patreon channel. We thank you very much. The Illuminati, the New World Order, a one-world government, the biblical beast of the Bible, 666. What is its goal? What is its aim? What is its desire? And who's behind it? The source of its power. I can go to the Bible, simply open Revelation 13 and begin to read it to you. But let me explain to you that even our founding fathers feared the Illuminati. There's a letter that was written by George Washington to Reverend G.W. Snyder on September the 25th, 1798. The former president, he had just got done finishing his 8 years in office, and he wrote this letter. He said, "Sir, many apologies are due to you for my not acknowledging the receipt of your obliging favor of the 22nd. Also, and for not thanking you at an earlier period for the book you had the goodness to send me. I have heard much of the nefarious and dangerous plan and doctrines of the Illuminati, but never saw the book until you were pleased to send it to me. The same causes which have prevented my knowledge, the receipt of your letter had prevented my reading the book hereunto, namely, the multiplicity of matters which pressed upon me before, and the situation of the state in which I was left after a severe fever and had been removed, and which allows me to add little more now than thanks for your kind wishes and favorable sentiments, except to correct an error you have run into of my presiding over the English lodges in this country. The fact is, I preside over none, nor have I been in one or more than once or twice. Within the last 30 years, I believe, notwithstanding that none of the lodges in this country are contaminated with the principles ascribed to the society of the Illuminati. With respect, I am President George Washington." So he was referring to the lodges. He was referring to the Masonic lodges. He was a Mason himself. I'm talking about the first president of the United States, George Washington. And the book that he had read painted a picture, of course, that the Illuminati had basically hijacked not only that secret society, but many others. George Washington, not quite aware of it, though, does respond to the best of his ability. But if he hadn't been in 30 years only once or twice, then he really doesn't know what had been going on, okay? Not at this point. But he does know that the Illuminati is a doctrine of a new world order that he did not want to be a part of the American way. Now, I'm going to fast forward because there were several other presidents that made mention of the Illuminati or mention of secret societies, and we could get into all of that. But I want you to hear the words of the late President John F. Kennedy giving a speech. And though the beginning of the speech, he's pretty lighthearted, talking to the press, he gets into the meat of this thing, and it is quite extraordinary. So I want you just to listen closely here to the words of John F. Kennedy and his secret society speech that he gave. This speech, I should have told you, the date on this speech is April the 27th, 1961. I'm sorry.
Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger. And yet no war has been declared. No borders have been crossed by marching troops. No missiles have been fired. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war before it imposes the self-discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war ever posed a greater threat to our security. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent.
Wow.
It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in missions by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader, and by every newspaper. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
Wow.
It conducts the Cold War, in short, with a wartime discipline no democracy would ever hope or wish to match. Nevertheless, every democracy recognizes the necessary restraints of national security. And the question remains whether those restraints need to be more strictly observed if we are to oppose this kind of attack as well as outright invasion. For the facts of the matter are that this nation's foes have openly boasted of acquiring through our newspapers information they would otherwise hire agents to acquire through theft, bribery, or espionage. That details of this nation's covert preparations to counter the enemy's covert operations have been available to every newspaper reader, friend and foe alike. That the size, the strength, the location, and the nature of our forces and weapons, and our plans and strategy for their use, have all been pinpointed in the press and other news media to a degree sufficient to satisfy any foreign power.
I'll stop right there for 1 minute. You can hear what President Kennedy is saying. That, look, our greatest foe is not going to attack us. They're going to try to infiltrate us. They're going to take us from inside, the Trojan horse approach. And they are secretly, and they are disciplined, and they are quiet, and they are really, folks, encamped in what you would call the deep state. The Illuminati is not playing this game because they're bored or they have nothing else to do. This is an absolute attempt to hijack this nation. And John F. Kennedy, on April the 27th, 1961, just a few months before I was born, recognized, realized, and was exposing their tactics. And he knew they were using the media to misinform, disinformation, fake news, whatever you want to call it, to confuse, to dummy down, to trick, and to malign the American public from the realization, like frogs boiling in a water, the Illuminati was trying to take down. You know, Jesus said it this way: if you're going to take down a house, you got to first get the strong man. And so John F. Kennedy is on the money here. Now, let's listen to a little bit more as he begins to say that, hey, the press, you guys have been pinpointing where our ships are, where our troops are. You've been revealing this out there, which puts us at a major disadvantage with foreign enemies.
And that in at least one case, the publication of details concerning a secret mechanism whereby satellites were followed required its alteration at the expense of considerable time and money. The newspapers which printed these stories were loyal, patriotic, responsible, and well-meaning. Had we been engaged in open warfare, they undoubtedly would not have published such items. But in the absence of open warfare, they recognized only the tests of journalism and not the tests of national security. And my question tonight is whether additional tests should not now be adopted. That question is for you alone to answer. No public official should answer it for you. No governmental plan should impose its restraints against your will. But I would be failing in my duty to the nation in considering all of the responsibilities that we now bear and all of the means at hand to meet those responsibilities if I did not commend this problem to your attention and urge its thoughtful consideration. On many earlier occasions I have said, and your newspapers have constantly said, that these are times that appeal to every citizen's sense of sacrifice and self-discipline. They call out to every citizen to weigh his rights and comforts against his obligations to the common good. I cannot now believe that those citizens who serve in the newspaper business consider themselves exempt from that appeal. I have no intention of establishing a new Office of War Information to govern the flow of news. I am not suggesting any new forms of censorship or new types of security classifications. I have no easy answer to the dilemma that I have posed and would not seek to impose it if I had one. But I am asking the members of the newspaper profession and the industry in this country to re-examine their own responsibilities, to consider the degree and the nature of the present danger, and to heed the duty of self-restraint, which that danger imposes upon us all.
I'll stop there for a moment. He's asking for restraint to not reveal everything you know, especially if it puts the country in a national security situation. Now let's forward wind to the present day. On our nightly news now, it's 24/7 analyzation of our president. They say he has dementia. They call him an outright psychopathological liar. They talk about his intentions. They even accuse him of being a Russian spy. And they do this openly with round tables and panels and graphics. And they boast and they brag and they constantly do this. And you have to ask yourself, if John F. Kennedy was here today, and if he had a chance to speak, he would say, look, you have the right to report the news. But to use conjecture, rumor, innuendo, guessing, or flat out lying, propaganda, disinformation, to try to steer the American public into believing something against your leader of your nation. Folks, that is demonic. And it certainly fits the perfect playbook of the Illuminati. Thank you for being a member of our Patreon channel. People ask all the time, Begley, why do you have a Patreon channel? Because some of the information I'm going to share is very sensitive, and it will be revealed here at Patreon. God bless all of you, and thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Let the others know they need to join. God bless. Pray for America. Give your life to Jesus Christ. He's coming soon.